episode 275. These top-tier experts from Bluebrook Guild, of course, they were also quite familiar with the situation on the 10th server. While they hadn't participated in the hunt for Lord Grimm,
but they were well aware of how things were progressing.
Bluebrook Guild didn't take part. This came as a surprise to everyone. What's going on? If anyone had the most urgent need to suppress Lord Grimm's momentum, it should have been Bluebrook Guild, even more so than Tyrannical Ambition. Yet they did nothing. After their dungeon run in Glazed Lands was utterly crushed, and their elite player Shorebound Willow was reportedly shot in a duel by Lord Grimm using a launcher. After that, they seemed to just step back from the whole affair. Were they scared? Or had Lord Grimm cut some private deal with them? Or perhaps there was some other scheme at play? No one could say for sure. However, the beneficiaries of this operation to suppress Lord Grimm will be all the guilds in the 10th server that are competitive in dungeons. And the guilds that worked hard to participate can't stop others from enjoying the shade under the tree they ultimately planted. Take Bluebrook Guild, for instance. They're in the worst shape right now, but which of these other guilds would dare underestimate their strength? Once Lord Grimm is suppressed, Bluebrook Guild immediately becomes a powerful rival in their dungeon competition again, especially since they've made 0 sacrifices in the process of suppressing him. So from this perspective, Bluebrook Guild's current situation is quite precarious. How could the other major guilds tolerate their hard-won situation being exploited by Bluebrook for an easy gain? If Bluebrook Guild doesn't compete for records in the future, fine. But the moment they do, that conflict will explode instantly. The same was true for Bluebrook Guild and for every other powerful guild that didn't join in suppressing Lord Grimm today. Competing for dungeon records was originally every player's right. Originally, how to deal with a competitor was also everyone's own choice. But with so much at stake, the simple rules no longer applied. Everyone had created their own set of unwritten rules and demanded that others follow them. Any guild that does not participate in eliminating Lord Grimm, they would have no right to compete for future dungeon records. That was the unspoken understanding shared by the 7 guilds involved in this operation. No one said it out loud, but they would abide by this rule. In their eyes, Bluebrook Pavilion was the one breaking it. Now, with Blue River leading his team to stay neutral, he was clearly and unmistakably showing where he stood. The experts from Tyrannical Ambition were utterly contemptuous, loudly voicing their disdain. But it did nothing to change Blue River's decision, nor did it alter their current predicament. 3 quickly became 2. 2 soon became 1. As the last man was about to fall, Steamed Bun Invasion had just about finished off the cleric, and in their ears they could faintly hear the chaotic sound of footsteps rushing their way.
They're coming. Finish them and get out.
Yeshiu spoke, and moments later, the cleric and the Blade Master, the last 2 members of Tyrannical Ambition, fell. Immediately, Yeshiu directed his Lord Grimm to take the lead. The 4 hurried to follow. Lord Grimm charged ahead for a stretch, then stopped. He waited for the others to gather, glanced back twice, and suddenly veered into the left, hand fork.
This way. Hug the wall.
Is this to avoid the pirate's line of sight?
Chuao Yifan's observational skills were indeed quite sharp. He had noticed the Blade Master player's corpse still lying there motionless. He was, of course, well aware that after a character dies, the camera angle would rise, granting a god's eye view. But just how far that view extended, he had no idea. He just grunted in acknowledgement. Lord Grimm took the lead, with the other 4 falling into a single file line behind him. They followed close behind.
Keep an eye on any players we meet on the road.
Right.
Since they've tracked us this far, to pinpoint our location, they'd not only block the exit of 1, Line Gorge, but also post lookouts at every dungeon entrance. Now that our position is exposed, players will be rushing here from all 50 of those entrances. With 50 entrances, each one probably only has 1 or 2 people. If 1 or 2 people come running straight at us, we'll need to be on our guard.
So we'd still be exposed?
Maybe so. Which way?
Another fork in the path lay ahead, and without a moment's hesitation, Ye Xiu led the group around the bend. One, Line Valley, was no open plain. It was a labyrinth of canyons, each with its own width and length. The paths were all squeezed between sheer cliff walls. Trying to climb over was absolutely impossible. Back in the early days of glory, One Line Canyon was a map that made players want to curse their mothers. But that's not a problem anymore. The veterans know the way by heart, and the newbies have maps made by the pioneers who got hopelessly lost in One Line Gorge.
Are you trying to blaze a trail where no one gets bumped into?
So Cheng was starting to guess what Ye Xiu was thinking.
Of course. I've got the map open right here.
Can you be sure? They'll take the route you've predicted. There are 50 dungeon entrances.
It's not that complicated. The direction we're heading only has 5 dungeon entrances. With so many paths to choose from, avoiding 5 routes isn't too difficult. We just need to take one that winds around as much as possible. Come on. This way.
Ye Xiu kept talking as he led the way. Less than a minute after the 5 of them had left the intersection where the fierce battle had taken place, the 100-strong force from the 7 major guilds, originally guarding the canyon exit, finally arrived on the scene. They encountered Blue River and his group from Blue Brook Guild. No one stopped to greet them. While game avatars don't have eyes, plenty of players in the passing 100-man force had disdainful emoticons floating above their heads, their text bubbles making their contempt clear. Blue River remained unflappable, leading his small group past the 100 players who looked down on them, blood smoke and the scars of blades. The signs of battle left at the fork in the road from the fierce fight hadn't yet been refreshed. Players from 4 of the 7 major guilds stared at these marks, grinding their teeth in furious frustration. 100 Blossoms Veil Voidbreakers and Tyrannical Ambition. In just a few minutes, this spot had wiped out an elite dungeon team from each of their 4 guilds. Tyrannical Ambition had it even worse. This was already the 2nd time they'd been wiped. And this was an elite team personally led by their guild leader. They didn't even show the prowess of elite players. They were just as fragile, wiped out like any ordinary team.
Just how strong is Lord Grim anyway?
As he read the furious messages from his guild leader, Zhang Yu, Knight crossing Cold Pond, pondered the situation. With things having reached this point, there was no reason to keep the information hidden any longer. The news that all 4 guilds had lost a team of elites was now public. The other 3 guilds all expressed their sympathy. Of course, that's what they said on the surface. Who knows if they were secretly laughing inside? Only Chen Yihui was unsurprised by this outcome. Only he truly understood their opponent's strength. With Ye Xiu and So Mucheng, plus 3 other top-tier players, what difference does it make if it's a 5-man team, or even 10, 15, or 20? He tried to overwhelm them with numbers before. How'd that work out? Back then, there was no So Mucheng. Ye Xiu, with just that battle mage and brawler, had beaten them to a pulp. How much better could these elite players from other guilds really be compared to their own Jia Huang dynasty? The only regret was, it's a shame that the Herb Garden and Hornet guilds haven't been targeted yet. Chen Yihui really hoped they'd get taken down hard by Ye Xiu's crew next. As he thought this, his eyes swept over the players from those 2 guilds. He suspected both guilds were just going through the motions. Especially Herb Garden, one of the big 3 guilds in the game. Yet now, among these 100 players, the ones from Herb Garden were the fewest. And they were always the slowest to act. Chen Yihui even began to suspect that the members of Herb Garden were, like him, harboring their own hidden schemes.